Not working. There are no hazards actually. Okay.
No
Uh,
issues, sir. Yeah, maybe that should be okay, but please speak little louder. That
okay.
should be.
So am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So if I'm not audible, please let me know actually. Okay. Okay. So what I'm saying is, you people are at different doorsteps actually at this point in time in your software. Okay. Either you are at the engineering stage or at your knocking the doors of software industry, or you might be working in software industry as such actually. Okay. You might have programmed a lot actually in C++, Java, Python kind of programming languages. But once you enter into a real-time project, okay, it is essential and paramount for you to understand what are the nuances that you should undergo when you enter into a project actually. Okay. And basically, uh, when you study at your college actually, okay, some of the subjects like system analysis and design, okay, SDLC life cycle models, you might be studying theoretically as such. Okay. But it is very important actually, that when you start executing a project, you need to follow a methodology or a process as such. Okay. See, what happens is, we always create software actually. Okay. That means we always create software programs. Okay. Like, you might be creating a Fibonacci series, or you might be creating, a palindrome or something like that actually. Okay. But, you might be creating in discrete way actually. Okay. You might not have come across such kind of scenarios or situations where when you are working in a project actually, and when there is an environment, and if 10 people are working together with you as such. Okay. How are you actually visualizing yourself in front of your project manager or your technical leads? Okay. And how do you execute the project actually? Okay. So that is very, very important to understand, because unless you understand that, it is very difficult to for you actually to develop the software. Okay. So programming a small code is different from programming in a project as such. Okay. So it is essential that most of the people, what they think is, software development means only coding actually. Okay. It's not about coding or programming actually. Okay. Software development has a life cycle. Okay. A life cycle in the sense is, like for example, in our daily lives also, daily lives also. Okay. We follow certain patterns. We morning, we wake up. Okay. We brush our teeth. Then we take our breakfast. We go to college, then our office. We take our lunch. Then in the evening actually we do some gym. Okay. Then while we are coming out actually, okay, we catch up a bus or a car, and when we come to home, we take dinner, and these are the normal activities actually. Okay. We follow certain pattern. Okay. In the same way, when you develop software, you need to follow certain pattern. Okay. A pattern is something which it could be implementable as such. Okay. Which could be implementable. So basically, in software engineering, a software development process is the process of dividing your software development work into distinct phases. When I say phases, there would be 7 phases that would be there actually. Okay. In normal SDLC life cycle. So you need to understand each phase thoroughly before you actually enter or penetrate into software development arena actually. Okay. These are all very, very important steps, and unless you do follow these particular steps actually, it would be very, very difficult for you to understand the nuances of development the project as such, or developing a project as such. Okay. So that is where it is paramount for all of us actually to understand what is that life cycle as such. Okay. Basically, when you actually come across software engineering, okay, we talk more about the software development process, all that actually. Okay. So software development process is nothing but a process which actually is dividing your software development work into smaller, parallel, or sequential steps of sub processes. See, what do you mean by this actually? Okay. This is what is meant by this is actually, okay, like for example, okay, I will give you a real time example actually. Okay. So if suppose uh, you know your worker has to carry A 100 kgs bag rise actually, okay, from ground floor to second floor. Please try to understand this example, okay. A worker has to carry a 100 kgs bag from ground floor to second floor, okay. If he is good enough, he is strengthier enough, okay, then he will carry that 100 kgs bag at one stretch and dump the bag there and come out actually. The execution has happened, okay, phenomenal, okay. Now there is another 100 kgs bag is waiting for him actually, okay. This time actually he would pick up that and he would carry that 100 kgs bag and would actually dump it the second floor. But third time you feel a bit tired as such actually, okay. Now take the same scenario in different way actually, okay. Now I have four workers as such, okay, and I'm having 25 kgs, 25 kgs, 25 kgs, 25 kgs bags, equivalent to 100 kgs. Now my four workers, what they are doing is, they are actually carrying each 25 kgs of bags to second floor, okay. Now in a person carrying 100 kgs of bag at one stretch and dumping it second floor is different from a person carrying 25 kgs bag and dumping it second floor. His work would be so easier actually, because you know the load he's carrying would not be so robust enough actually, or so hard enough that a 100 kgs bag is being carried by another person actually, right? So this is very very important. When you develop software, it is paramount for us to understand that some of the activities would go in sequential way, some of the activities would go in parallel way, okay. When to do what we are going to learn as part of software development lifecycle methodologies. So it is essential that when you actually go in a sequential way as such, okay, there could be a lot of advantages, okay. There could be a lot of advantages in the sense that you would be actually taking your own time and you would be doing your work properly, and you are going to execute actually, okay. That is phenomenal actually, okay. Now the world has changed, the IT world has changed. Now you need to see that how the parallel activities go actually in such a way that the activities would finish within time limits, within the constrained budgets that are given by the customer actually, okay. Because customer is going to spend huge amount of money, and it is very very important for us to understand that certain activities have to be taken in parallel, okay. We cannot do every activity in a sequential way. So this is very very important. And apart from that, it is also important that if there is a process is something which is under execution actually, okay. Can you actually divide them into sub processes or not? That is also very very important actually. Like the example that I mentioned, a 100 kgs bag, instead of carrying 100 kgs bag at one stretch, you chunk it into 25 kgs bag each 25 kgs bag actually, okay. Then it would be easy for you to carry those 25 kgs bag actually, even if you are actually putting four workers, or even if you are actually going up and down four times, that is not a problem for you, because you are only carrying 25 kgs every time actually, right? Or you can actually put four workers and at one stretch you can actually carry all the four bags and dump it at second floor, okay. So these are very very important, that when you actually take up a project, okay, you think that it's a big ocean or it's a big project, actually a lot of requirements are there, okay. Can I do all those requirements or not, how do I plan for them, okay. So that is where it is very very important that disintegrating the requirements into smaller chunks is very very essential actually, okay. It is applicable in our daily life also actually, okay. Instead of doing instead of doing hard activities at one stretch, try to do activities a smaller stretch actually, so that you will achieve your goal, okay. So that is very very important, okay. A 100 meters runner, okay, can run 100 meters in 9 point so seconds as such, okay. But you also think of a marathon runner, a marathon runner of 3 kilometers or 4 kilometers, he takes some small steps, and once start reaching actually to the pole, he would actually increase his speed, okay. A marathon runner is also very very important, okay. That is where actually it is very important when you take up a project, okay, which is given by a customer. So how do you visualize that project, okay. So if you visualize that project as a group of modules, like for example, an admin module or a reporting module, okay, or a business processing module, okay, or some other module actually, okay, you don't actually see that, every time actually you cannot execute all the modules at one stretch, okay. That means you need to sub-modularize them actually, okay. This is what is called as disintegrating the activities, okay. This is also called as chunking the activities actually, okay. This is also called as work breakdown structure, okay. And this is a very very important term actually that is used across the projects, because unless and until you define your process steps to the lowest level of granularity, okay, customer will not appreciate you. It is very important to appreciate the customer, because customer is spending the money for us or for the project actually, okay. So in the context of that, it is very important to make the customer visualize that every sub process, every granular activity is being covered actually, okay. See, this is so important, okay. When you take up a product management or a project management, dividing the activities to the lowest level of granularity is what is important, and what are the activities that you can actually carry in parallel, and what are the activities that we can carry in sequential, also to be divided, or also to be devised as part of your software development process actually, okay. So this is what is known as a software development life cycle, right? See, again, I will actually give a irony for this, okay, analogy for this. See, when a person borns, okay, or when a small child takes birth in this world, okay, when he's at a nascent stage, like for example 1 year or 2 year old actually, okay, he might not be understanding about the world. So once he actually matures, he becomes 12 years or 14 years old actually, okay, or 14 to 15 years, he becomes youth, he starts understanding, a bit more actually, his maturity levels would increase, okay. Then when he actually crosses around 25 years or 30 years age actually, okay, his maturity levels would be different. When he crosses 40 years or 45 years age, his maturity levels would be different. When he crosses 60 years of age, his maturity levels would be different. So this is the life cycle actually I'm talking about, okay. The life cycle that we have for a life, human life, okay. In the same way, software development will also have a life cycle. It is not that actually you are taking birth and immediately you are jumping into the field and you are doing whatever you want to do, right? You have to take a course of time actually, okay. You have to surpass all that, and you have to, once you become mature 21 years, 22 years, then you would start actually taking up a job, all that as such, right? So that life cycle is very very important. In the same way, software development also has a life cycle actually, okay. So you need to do a step-by-step process. But while doing a step-by-step process, actually, sometimes you may override some processes and actually execute overlapping them as such. Okay. So it also could be possible that some activities could be taken in parallel. Okay. So, but eventually it all boils down to how you are executing the project in an effective, efficient, and qualitative manner. That is very very important for the customer actually, okay. That is what is called as software development life cycle, okay. So I just want to quote here, do you know the DOS Equus guy actually, okay. This guy in 2006 actually, okay. So he he says that I don't always drink beer, but when I do, I choose DOS Equus. See, what he's trying to say is he's trying to brand this DOS Equus, which is a beer brand, and he's saying that when I'm thirsty, my friends should take this. Okay, but what he's saying is he's branding it out. He's advertising it actually. That means he's creating a scenario in such a way that yes, this is your friend. Okay, but while you are taking your while you are choosing your friend, or while you are actually making friendship with something actually or someone as such, okay, try to see that actually, okay, try to see that both are enjoying each other actually, okay. That is very very important, right? So this fellow actually, was a coder before that. Okay, and he was being fired by the software company because he could not able to follow the software development lifecycle process. You understood my point, right? What he did was actually, okay, he started actually developing the application as if he knows everything. Okay, and when it came to testing part, actually he could not able to test it properly. Okay, eventually the project has failed. Okay, so if you do not follow the life cycle steps properly, eventually you would end up at the losing side as such. That is the whole crux of software development life cycle, right? And this is applicable to our life also actually. Okay, when you start taking water, okay, how do you take water actually? Okay, start taking water slowly, slowly, slowly. You will not take water at a stretch actually, right? Because it would stuck at your throat. Okay, that is not good. Or while you take your food also, you take small small chunks as such. Okay, and that is how it is going to be digested in your digestive system. But when you start taking in a big chunk, actually what happens, your digestive system actually would burst out, right? So why I'm giving these examples is, unless you follow the scrupulous principles of SDLC, software development lifecycle, okay, it would be very difficult for you actually to achieve the end goal. What is the end goal actually? The end goal is how to satisfy the customer, how to get the return on investment to the customer, how to get the value on investment to the customer, how to get the revenues to the customer, how to get the profits to the customer. Okay, customer is god for us actually. Okay, so that is where you should start thinking that when you actually go to a system development life cycle or a software development life cycle, you always follow scrupulously the defined phases, okay, in a systematic way, so that at the end actually you would report the benefits out of it as such. Okay, so software engineering is nothing but doing it in a systematic, disciplined way actually. Okay. See, I can write code actually, in a Fibonacci series. For example, if you take Fibonacci series, I know the logic. Okay. What is the logic? Zero. Zero plus one is one plus zero is one. Okay. One plus one is two. Two plus one is three. Three plus two is equal to five. Five plus three equal to eight. Eight plus five equal to 13. 13 plus eight equal to 21. I know the logic. What I have to do actually, add the previous number to the correct number. I will get the Fibonacci number. Right? Simple logic. But that is not the correct way of coding actually. Okay. What is the correct way of coding? You need to declare your data structures. You need to declare in a proper way. Then you start adding, actually you put a logic for that. Either you put a for loop or something like that. Then you would actually eventually get the desired output, right? So these are the steps you are following, however, actually. Okay, this is for a small program. But when you are actually doing a $100,000 project, or a $200,000 project, or a $1 million project, you just imagine actually what the customer expects out of you: a proper planning, a proper building, proper testing, proper deployment, etc. Right? And unless you follow that, eventually you end up at the losing side. In the history, many projects have been failed due to not following the life cycle in a systematic way. Okay, that is very essential actually for us to understand. That is where it is very essential for us to understand the system development lifecycle methodologies actually. Okay, so that is where there are different methodologies that are there, and they are actually been composed in a very systematic way actually. Okay, one of such methodologies waterfall. So before I go to waterfall model actually, I will start talking about system development lifecycle. Okay, see, first of all, you need to understand that what do you mean by a system actually? Okay, a system is something which comprises of different components. Okay, so a project is same thing actually, which comprises of different components. Like if you take a human system, human body system actually. Okay, you will be having brain, you will be having hands, legs, mouth, ears, teeth. Okay, nose, everything actually. Okay, now just imagine a case. Okay, if I'm speaking to you actually. Okay, how many neurons in my body are interacting within each other which is carrying the messages to my brain, and eventually actually it is coming to my mouth, and I am delivering this lecture to you. So many integrations are happening at the back end. Okay, this happens to every person, right? And if that if this doesn't happen in a proper way, what happens actually? We are in a failed stage actually. Okay, that is what is system is. When you actually want to execute a system, or when you want to execute a project, or when you want to execute a product, it is very very important to understand all the components of the system and try to integrate all the components in a most feasible way, in a most qualitative way, by following the life cycle. Okay, that eventually yields the best results for you actually. Okay, so SDLC has 7 phases. Yes, system development life cycle has 7 phases. So first one is feasibility study and requirements gathering. When I talk about feasibility study, okay, you need to understand one thing actually. Okay, what do you mean by feasibility? Feasibility is something actually, okay, like for example, if you are working in a company, okay, and you are given a project, and you are asked to go to China, okay, Nanjing area, and there is a project there, and you are asked to work at Nanjing area actually. Okay, so basically what you would do actually, okay, Chinese people doesn't understand English properly. So first you start understanding, about the place actually, how the place is, whether you get all the food that is possible for you to eat or not. Okay, whether all the people are good enough or not. You will search in Google all that you do actually. Okay, and also if possible you also try to learn Chinese as such. Okay, in the same way German, Germans are very very rigid actually, that when you go to a country like Germany actually, you need to speak German only. Okay, so in that case actually you start learning German. Okay, so basically when you start a project, or before you start a project, you need to understand whether this project is feasible enough actually to be executed or not. Okay, when I say feasible to be executed or not, okay, there are three areas where the feasibility would happen actually. One is technical feasibility, second one is operational feasibility, third one is financial feasibility. Okay, financial feasibility is if the customer has the budget or not. Why do you take up a project actually? You take up the project to bring the change. Okay, otherwise you don't do a project, right? If the customer is going to get benefit out of it, then only he will give the project to you, right? So first you need to understand whether the customer does have the enough budget or not actually. Okay, that is, you do as part of your financial feasibility. Then technical feasibility is when the project is assigned to you as a vendor as such. Okay, whether you have the uh, technical acumen or technical gamut to execute the project. For example, this project is to be executed in Java language. Okay, whether you do have enough resources in Java, whether they understand core Java or advanced Java or Spring Framework or something like that, which is technical feasibility. Okay, a third one is operational feasibility. When you are working in a company as such actually, okay, you also need to understand that your company should provide actually all the operational feasibility. Like for example, you should be provided proper desktops, you should be provided proper laptops, you should be provided proper heat, ventilation, air conditioner, HVAC actually. Okay, you should be provided remaining all operational activities, like if you are actually staying at night, some cabs should be provided. Okay, or some buses should be provided. So all this comes under operational activities. So when you start a project, before you start a project, you need to understand that you are actually doing a feasibility analysis or feasibility study, from technical front, from operational front, from economic front, or financial front actually. Okay, that is the first step actually that one has to do as such. Then once all these are satisfied, you start the requirements. Requirements are two types. One is functional requirements and another one is non-functional requirements. Functional requirements is, for example, you are actually doing a project to innovate a manual system into a computer based system. Okay, so that you are avoiding manual intervention as much as possible. Okay, This is the project actually. Okay. So now if this is the project actually, okay, you need to gather the requirements for that, right? All the functional requirements, right from login page to the reports, all the functional requirements. And also you need to gather non-functional requirements. Like, for example, what should be the response time of a page when you develop, okay? What should be the availability of that particular site, okay? Whether it is going to be available 100%, okay? What could be the scalability? What is the maintainability? What is the observability, okay? What is the security that you are following? All these principles would come into picture actually, okay? So during the requirements gathering, you will try to understand all the requirements as such of the project as such, okay? Then the next most important thing is system analysis. So once you gather the requirements, it's like a system analysis is like, it's like, creating a blueprint kind of stuff actually, okay? When you construct a house or before you construct a house actually, what do? You directly do not construct a house. What you do, you actually create a blueprint out of that. A blueprint drawn on any paper or any chart, okay, or a rough sketch or on a CAD diagram, okay? You create analysis actually, okay? In the analysis, you try to see actually what is your source and what is your destination, okay? You try to find various alternatives to do the project actually, okay? Then the third most important thing is design, okay? Then you need to understand that when you have analyzed it properly, you start going for designing as such, okay? That means till now actually if you know C only, okay, let me say if I want to execute a project in procedural oriented language, okay, I may use C. Or if I want to use a object oriented paradigm methodology, actually I may use C++ or Java, okay. So if I want to do an application design in object oriented principles way actually, okay, then I need to design the application in such a way that it should actually depict whatever that you are thinking, all the object oriented principles like abstraction, encapsulation, polymorphism, right? Inheritance, aggregation, and whether you are following all these principles or not, and whether you are creating UML notations, unified modeling language notations or not. That means you are actually doing the design in a perfect way, actually. Okay. So this is the most important thing, actually. Okay. The third part, which is design, is the most important thing of software development lifecycle, actually. Okay. Unless your design is perfect, even if you do coding, it is of no use, actually. Okay. In the good olden days, we used to create pseudo algorithms also, actually, as part of the design. A design consists of two things. One is application design. Second one is database design. Database design is very important. If somebody asks you a question, actually, what is the most important thing in software? You should not hesitate to answer that question. Actually, the most important thing in software is data. What you are struggling for data. Ultimately, data is important. That means if you do not have the data, or if you do not generate data, or if you do not generate a report which is in the form of data, okay, then that project is useless, right? For example, you are using Gmail, okay, and you use your user ID and password, and you log in and you go to your page inbox page, okay. What do? You compose a mail, right? That means what you are doing, you are putting some data into it, and you are sending to some recipient, right? And when you send to a recipient, actually, the recipient should receive in the same manner that you have sent, actually, right? That means data is getting transferred. Yes or no? So design consists of two important things: application design as well as database design. Right? So design is the most important phase of all the 7 phases of the software development lifecycle. Next one is build. This is, most of the people would actually concentrate on this build part. Please don't concentrate on the build part. Build part is very easy. Build is nothing but coding. Coding comes only then when you actually design it very well, right? When your design reflects the actual requirements that are given by the customer, then the build becomes very easy for you. Building means you are doing building the code. Nowadays the coding is very easy actually. When in 2000 actually, when I was in US, okay, I used to code in Notepad. Can you imagine? We don't have the luxury of these IDEs like you have actually like JBuilder or Eclipse or NetBeans kind of stuff actually, or Visual Studio, which generates a lot of code actually. We used to write every line of code in Notepad. You imagine actually how flexible and sophisticated the build has become nowadays. What you are doing actually nowadays, you are just inputting the logic into the code that is already been taken care by Eclipse or JBuilder or NetBeans or Visual Studio, right? Only you are inputting the logic. And that logic too, actually, many times actually, people would search from Google and putting the logic. I'm not actually undermining anyone here, okay? So build has become so easy that it's in the olden days. When we write, we used to write millions, thousands of lines of code actually, okay? Now all the code is automatically built through the IDEs actually, integrated development environments. So my thinking is actually, or, what I'm trying to say is, design is the phase which is more important. And if you have a good design, actually, the build process is going to be very, very easy. Okay. Then once you build the code, actually, okay, it is very, very important to test it. Okay. To test it. For example, when you go into a market, okay, and when you buy a mobile phone, what do you do actually? You take a branded one, okay? But before you buy an Apple iPhone or something like that, okay, you would actually go to your friend who has already bought that Apple iPhone, that kind of similar Apple iPhone. You would actually ask him how it is working, okay? You will also test it, okay? Then when you go to the market, you will buy it, okay? But beforehand, actually, you would be having the details that how it is working, right? So the testing process has already been done actually, okay? But when you are creating a new code actually, okay, or when Maruti is releasing a new car, before actually it fabricates all the car components, after fabricating all the car components, it should test it thoroughly. That is what is called as quality assurance. And unless and until it is 100% quality assured actually, okay, that means tested, it cannot be rolled out onto the road as such, right? After doing thorough testing, then you need to deploy. Where do you deploy? You deploy in the production environment. That production environment is going to be dictated by the customer. And when you deploy in the production environment, that means your software should be at least 99% error free or bug free. I'm not saying 100% because in the world, nobody can create 100% bug free code actually, okay? But it is very, very important that during testing phase, it is essential that the number of bugs that you found out, that would be 1,000 times worthier than a bug that is found in production actually, okay? Good olden days, what you used to do was, the companies used to do was, they used to give incentives, or they used to give some accolades to the people who used to find more bugs in testing phase, because a bug in testing phase is 1,000 times worthier than a bug in production environment. If it is found in production environment, then it is not correct one actually, right? So testing is also important. Then deployment into production. Then after deployment, then it goes to warranty and operations phase. That means the code has been moved to production, people starts using, but after doing all this testing also, there could be unknown bugs that would erupt out. For that, you need to fix actually, okay? Operations and maintenance phase is the most important phase, where most of the companies would concentrate on this actually. You just imagine a case actually, okay? Suppose if you are trying to buy a what is that, uh, aquaguard purifier, okay? Aquaguard purifier, water purifier. I bought my aquaguard purifier in 2001, 2001, okay? And 4 years it worked well. After that, it started actually giving some faults or some problems. Then, at that point in time, I bought it for 4,000 rupees. Okay. Then I have given it for maintenance to the same company. They have started charging me 500 rupees every year actually. Okay. So instead of buying a new product, what I started is I have started using their maintenance as such, paying 500 rupees, 500 rupees. Now it has increased to 1,000 rupees now actually. Okay. The same product which I have bought in 2001 is still working very fine actually. Okay. But where the money is, where the customer is getting money out of that actually, money is being obtained from operations and maintenance. You would have bought aquaguard product for 4,000 rupees, but you imagine all these 15 years or 16 years how much amount I have spent. Even if I have spent 500 rupees or 1,000 rupees, I would have spent 16,000 rupees for maintenance, right? That is where actually the software business would lie. The chunk of the business would lie in operations and maintenance actually. Okay. Or the big pie would lie in operations and maintenance. So you need to understand that it's a very, very important phase, because every time when you buy a new product, you will think that actually the product should work well. And if it doesn't work well, there should be some maintenance that should be provided. That is where the companies would earn the profit, and also the customers would also actually would get the maintenance, so that they don't need to buy a new product every time actually, right? That is where operations and maintenance is very important. That is where you are generating value to the customer. Value is equal to utility plus warranty. Utility is equal to fit for purpose. Warranty is equal to fit for use. For the purpose you have bought a system, actually it should work. And if there are any bugs, actually you need to fix them in a maintenance phase, and you need to make it work actually for years together. Okay. I will quote some examples. For example, SunTrust Bank, for example Bank of America, for example National Australian Bank. All these banks, their core banking was built during 1990s. You must be knowing Y2K problem also actually, right? A debt problem actually. Okay. The core banking still, they have built in IBM mainframes and COBOL. Still those banking systems are working with the same software, and they are being operated and maintained actually as of now. Okay. The business as usual is running very well. Okay. That means you need to understand that when a system is built like that actually, okay, years together it would run without any problems, because software doesn't have wear and tear. Software doesn't have wear and tear. When I say that, it means that when you actually buy a cloth or pant or a shirt, if you wear it continuously for 2 years or 3 years, it would tear out. But software doesn't have a tearing or wear and tear, right? If you run it properly, it would work for years together. Okay. That is where operations and maintenance is very, very important stage actually. Okay. So when I talk about SDLC life cycle 7 phases, all the phases are important. Design is the most prominent phase. Okay. Operations and maintenance phase is the phase where you get a lot of money out of it actually. Okay. So basically this is SDLC 7 phases. Okay. So just I will pause for half a minute. I will take water. Okay. Now, could you able to understand?
Yes, sir, very much clear.
Very much clear, right?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, in software development lifecycle, when I talk about, there are different methodologies that have evolved over a period of time. Okay. Waterfall model was the old school of thought actually. Okay. When I say old school of thought, actually, at the beginning, actually, waterfall model was very prominent, and it used to follow all the 7 stages of the life cycle scrupulously. Okay. That means system and software requirements gathering, analysis, design, coding, testing, okay, deployment, operations, etc. Actually, It followed all the stages scrupulously. Now I'm coming to a very important point actually now. Okay. Now in those days, in 2000s or 2010s actually, okay, customers do not have so much knowledge about the software. Okay. Because software is evolving at that point in time. Now when I mean to say that, it does mean that they are dependent upon the vendors like TCS, Infosys, Tech Mahindra, Satyam, okay, uh, Wipro, etc. companies as such for their software developments. Now, it is the responsibility of the vendor to provide correct software, correct product, correct project to the customer actually. Otherwise, you cannot retain the customer. Now, imagine a case where you are a very good boy. You are following all the rules and regulations scrupulously. Okay. But you are walking on a road. You have taken good slippers. You are actually slowly walking and you have to reach the destination. Suddenly at the destination, you found a kind of muddy area, a kind of pond. Okay. Now you started thinking, I have actually gone through all these steps. Now I have come to this here actually. Okay. I have done everything right, but I cannot visualize that there is a pond there actually. Okay. Or but I cannot visualize that there is a muddy area there, or there is a thorny area there. Now you cannot say come back and say to the customer, Mr. Customer, I cannot execute this project or I cannot deliver this project because there is a pond here or because there is a muddy area here. After you work for 1 year or 2 years in a waterfall model, scrupulously following all the steps, okay, like a Rama is a good boy kind of stuff actually, okay. And at the end of the day, if you are not delivering, you just imagine actually how much the customer is going to lose out of it actually, because customer is also responsible to his customers, right? So from that context, if you are delivering in waterfall model after 2 years, and the end product is only shown at the end of 2 years actually, then and before that customer could not able to see anything actually what you are developing, how the customer understands that you are working actually well, right? How much tracking he do actually, okay, because of the product, the kind of product that you need to deliver is not getting delivered actually, and it is going to be delivered at the end of the 2 years, and at the end of the 2 years also it is not guaranteed actually. And if you find a muddy area or a thorny area or a pond actually, okay, and if you actually say reversely that I cannot deliver this project, by that time customer would have spent $10 million actually, right? Are you going to give those $10 million to the customer back? No, right? So it is very, very important that the traditional ways are sometimes important, but it is also important to see that what the customer's expectations are actually. Customer is if a customer expecting that every 2 months I need to have a deliverable, I need to see something out of it actually. Though it may be a 2 years project, every 2 months I want to see something. Okay, then customer will get confidence out of it actually. Can you able to show that in waterfall model? You can't, because you are following a sequential way. You say that unless I pass all these steps actually, okay, I cannot reach to the target. So traditional ways sometimes doesn't work, right? So what do you do then? So that is where you need to bypass the traditional way of development actually, and should go in a different path or a different route altogether actually. But at the same time, the quality should not be compromised. At the same time, the quality should not be compromised. That is where if you actually see NRSA kind of projects, National Remote Sensing Agency projects, ISRO kind of projects, Indian Space Research Organization projects, NASA projects. Okay, every second is very important for them actually. Okay, so before their projects would be in millions and millions of dollars actually. Each project could be 10,000 crores or 12,000 crores rupees actually. Okay, they cannot say that I will scrupulously follow waterfall model, and at the end of the day my rocket has failed launching actually. Okay, then people will laugh at the government, right? What you should be doing actually, you should create a prototype. What is a prototype? It is a proof of concept. What do you mean by proof of concept? That means when you are developing a larger system, you to try to develop or simulate a smaller system which is equivalent to the larger system, and try to see where are the loopholes that are there actually. And when this prototype does work well, then you will get confidence that you can actually implement for the bigger project also as such. Right? This is what is called as prototyping. And all these ISRO projects, NRSA projects, RCA projects, DRDL projects, DRDO projects, they follow prototypes. In software also we follow prototypes, because we need to give the confidence to the customer, because customer is spending huge amount of dollars, customer is spending huge amount of time on us, customer is trusting us, customer has a confidence on us. If we do not deliver properly, then he cannot be answerable to his customers. That is what is called a supply chain actually. In supply chain business, customer has to answer to his customers also, right? If Nokia is a mobile manufacturer, it doesn't mean that every part in Nokia is being built by Nokia. Nokia actually brings certain parts like nuts and bolts from other vendors, right? It has to satisfy their suppliers also, right?
Sir, uh, just reminding you, we have 15 more minutes.
Correct. So I'm also trying to finish. So
Yes.
that is where prototype is very, very important actually. Okay. So you see here, a car, the prototype of a car. Okay. So, if a Mercedes Benz has to be built, okay, you cannot actually scrap a Mercedes Benz after you built, because Mercedes Benz will cost huge amount of dollars actually. Okay. That is where, everything has to be done in a proper way, in a quality assured way actually. Okay. That means when you are creating a prototype, you create a prototype in such a way that you try to simulate all the possible results in the prototype itself actually. Okay. And try to launch the original project actually. Okay. That is what is called as prototyping. The next one is rapid application development. This rapid application development is something actually, okay, which is like an adaptive process. There are two processes that are there actually in software development lifecycle. Okay, one is predictive processing, second one is adaptive processing. Predictive processing is like, the kind of models that you actually have heard, like waterfall model as such. You can predict what is going to happen as such actually. Okay, but in adaptive process you don't know what is going to happen. Okay, that means you are taking a risk. You're taking a risk. What kind of risk actually? In waterfall model, at some point in time all your requirements would be frozen, then only you will start the design. Now unfortunately customer has come up with some more requirements, and by that time your design has started, and you say that, Mr. Customer, I cannot take your requirements further because I have started my design, and I can only take after I finish my product actually after 2 years. Can other competitors wait in the market? Actually they will come up with other products, right? So there is a kind of glitch that is there actually, okay, in the waterfall model, right? So rapid application development is something which is an adaptive process, okay, where the prototype kind of thing is used actually. Okay, and sometimes for small projects actually it is very essential to use rapid application development, by bypassing certain phases as such actually. Okay, and doing the project, okay, but at the end of the day you are going to give certain product to the customer actually. Okay, this is applicable for small projects actually. Okay, where you think that there is no risk actually. Okay, and you think that the output is going to be given very clearly to the customer actually. Okay, then you can go for rapid application development, right? Then the most important thing, agile software development. This is where the entire world is moving on as such actually at this point in time. Agile means flexible. Okay, flexibility is in the sense is one should be flexible enough actually. Okay, like if I am in like if I'm going to Kashmir. Okay, I have to taking into consideration the climate there actually. Okay, I have to wear you know a muffler. I have to wear a sweater. Okay, I'm the same human, but I'm carrying additional things as such actually. I'm making myself flexible there actually. Okay, if I'm going to an area, very hot area like Ramagundam or something like that. Okay, in midsummer. Okay, I should wear cotton cloths, and I should make myself flexible enough actually. Agile is flexible. Agile is flexible, faster. Okay, that means the obsolete method of waterfall model actually. Okay, is not yielding better results. That is where when the requirements do come in during the design phase or coding phase, still you take those requirements into your consideration, and you are going to satisfy the customer actually. Okay, because changes are inevitable, and when the customer brings out those changes, you have to take them into consideration. You start actually developing them in iterations and increments, right? That means every 1 month or every 2 months you are going to show some result to the customer by following incremental and iterative methodology. You just imagine the case of Netflix actually. Okay, see, in the previous days we used to actually deploy applications every 3 months once. Can you imagine Netflix or Facebook or Amazon or Orkut or Twitter? They deploy an application every 10 minutes once. Every 10 minutes once. You imagine. You are able to see all the videos, all the pictures, because high streaming videos. Okay. Because Netflix is flexible. The deployments are happening not in months. The deployments are happening every 10 minutes, every 5 minutes. When the system is up and running, the deployments are happening actually. That is where Agile is very flexible actually. Okay, what it does do is actually, okay, it approaches a collaborative way actually. That means the people who are working in the team of Agile development do share their ideas and interact with the customer, communicate better to the customer rather than following the processes scrupulously. Okay, having said that, I'm not saying that they are not going to follow processes. They follow processes, but there are trade-offs for that actually. Okay, so it is very important that you deliver something to the customer at the end of each iteration actually. So customer is important rather than the processes. Collaboration is important. Collaborating with cross-functional teams is very important actually. You should be adaptive in nature. Okay, that means you should be flexible in nature while planning, while evolving into the development, early deliveries, continuous improvements. Okay, and rapid and flexible response to change. All these are possible through agile software development. Okay, right? So basically, agile is one important methodology where you are going to be so flexible enough actually, okay, to the customer that you can accept the changes at any point in time actually without any hesitation. Okay, unlike your waterfall model. And agile is about planning properly, collaboration, adaptive methodology, cross-functional teams, cross-functional teams working in tandem. Okay, and delivering actually very swiftly. That is the nature of agile software development. There are various sub methodologies that are there in agile. Some of them could be Scrum. Okay, Scrum is one methodology. Extreme programming is another methodology. In extreme programming, you have a pair programming as such actually. Okay, then agile unified process is another methodology. Scaled agile framework is another methodology. Okay, there are different methodologies that are there as part of agile. Kanban is another methodology. Fantastic methodologies. All these are innovative methodologies. And when you enter into any project actually, okay, the project manager or the technical lead would ask you to start in an agile way. Okay, so agile is the one which dictates the entire software development life cycle. Okay, right? Having said that, you should not forget about the importance of waterfall model also. But the most important stuff that you need to understand is about agile. Okay, as part of that, there are so many processes that have come up of late actually. One of the important process I would like to quote is unified process actually, which was developed by IBM, which was also called as rational unified process. There are 4 phases in that actually. Okay, inception, elaboration, construction, and transition. Okay, that was one of the earlier methodologies actually, which is an iterative methodology before agile actually. But after agile has come into advent as such, people started using agile in a bigger way actually, and started start satisfying the customers in a more emphatic and profound way compared to what the people would have done actually in the earlier days. Okay, with this I stop this session as such. Okay, now I'm open for the questions.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful session. Actually, making us understand the steps in SDLC, which are most relevant and widely opted agile technology in an understandable language. So, thank you so much. So, yes, as sir said, the session is open for questions. Yeah, we have Banu Prasad Karu. Sir, yeah, you may continue to talk.
Yeah, please go ahead. Please tell your name and ask a question.
Yes, sir. My name is Banu Prasad, and I am from Zoom Academy,
Yeah.
and also iFocus. I want to ask a question that in software field they use coding. I want to ask that what is syntax and how many programs they use, and why syntax is very important in coding. I want to ask.
Okay. So, okay, I will give you an example to you why syntax is very important. Okay, when you write a sentence in English, okay, that you want to tell your name is Banu Prasad, right? So I ask your name actually. What is your name? Okay, you
My
write
name is
in
Banu
words.
Prasad, sir.
Okay, my name is Banu Prasad. Okay, instead of you saying that my name is Banu Prasad, you say that uh, my name Banu Prasad is sir. Okay, my name Banu Prasad is sir. Please try to recognize this. Okay, it will give me the meaning actually. Okay, it will make me understand that your name is Banu Prasad. You have tried to convey the meaning to me. Okay, but you yourself would have identified that is, that helping verb should be actually before your noun. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
That means when you actually, when in a programming language like C, C plus Java actually, okay, when they're designed with certain syntax actually. Syntax are like dictionaries actually, okay, like your grammatical dictionary, okay. So you need to follow the grammatical standards. When you do not follow the grammatical standards, okay, and when you give a data structure name instead of integer, you have given something else actually. Like integer, if you have to give int, if you have given it as int actually, how does it recognizes actually, right? So syntax does have a lot of meaning while you do the coding actually, because it understands your lexical analysis. When I say lexical analysis, it understands your grammatical interpretation of the language actually. Okay. That is where syntax is very, very important while doing the coding. Okay.
Yeah. So that's your answer for Banu. Sir, before going into further questions, I have a small announcement here. As you have all enjoyed the session on this agile methodologies and other various methodologies, so we have similar trainings on software development methodologies, but it's a paid workshop which is for 2 days, and it goes for 4 hours. That is two per each day. Workshop fee would be around 1,499. So you may please contact the given numbers presented on the poster. So you can attend the workshop if you are interested to learn more knowledge on software development methodologies. So yes, on that note, I'm ending the announcement, and we have a hand raised. Srinivas Garu, yes, you may unmute yourself and ask a question.
Yeah, please go ahead. Srinivas Garu, please go ahead.
Srinivas Garu, you're not audible, Andy.
Please unmute yourself, sir.
I think he's talking, but he's not audible actually. Meanwhile, if anyone is having
Srinivas Garu, you can put your question in chat window also. In chat window also. Srinivas Garu, you can ask your question in chat window also.
yeah, we have Chaitanya Garu, his hand is raised.
Hi, sir.
Yeah, please tell your name.
This is Chaitanya, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, it was fantastic class, sir. I have learned so many things about that. So, how you see the future of the software, sir? Software development.
Okay. I will tell in two simple sentences actually. Okay. One is software will never die. Okay. One sentence. Because software is complementing many industries, and without software, the industries doesn't work. I will quote an example. Okay. I'm 52 years old. And when I started using banking system, I opened my first account in Syndicate Bank in 1985. And at that point in time, there was no computers, nothing, all manual system. When I used to present a check, there used to be a teller actually who used to take the check manually. They go into the records and check whether the signature is correct or not, whether there is a balance in my account or not. It used to take around 1 to 1.5 hours actually for them to pass my check. Imagine if there is no rush, right? Now I'm doing the same thing actually. I'm presenting a check, and now the system is there. They are opening, any clerk can open that, and they are actually checking my digital signature, checking my balance, passing within 2 minutes, right? Will the system go off? There would be improvements on this system only. Okay, right? See, human evolution has happened slowly, but when computer revolution has happened in a revolutionized way actually, and this revolution would continue as such actually. For example, did you imagine that you can actually see a picture in OTT? You would not have imagined, right? You would not have imagined. All Netflixes, all Amazons, okay, all Hotstar, Disney's, all these have come up actually. And tomorrow you don't know actually, you don't need to go to a theater at all actually, okay? You will be having, much more things coming to your way. At this point in time in this world, only 20% of data is being explored. 80% of the data is unexplored. If this 80% data has to be explored actually, okay, it takes more than 100 to 200 years as such. Now you just see that whether software is going to diminish.
No, no.
It won't, okay? It won't. And I will tell you one important fact. During COVID pandemic time, every industry has affected except software industry and pharma industry, healthcare industry. There were huge number of projects that have come up in COVID time, and we all working from home actually, more number of hours, and we are paid high salaries rather than when we used to work actually before COVID, pre pandemic time actually, right? This is one industry which would eventually every time would be green. And this year you would have seen actually a 5 years experienced guy, a 6 years experienced guy is demanding 25 lakhs salary in the market, which we have got the 25 lakh salary per month, per year, after attaining 13 or 14 years of experience actually in our time. A 4 years or 5 years guy is expecting 25 lakhs.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much for making it more relevant and actually making understandable. So, yeah, we have Srinivas Garu, his hand raised. Yes.
Please go ahead, Srinivas
Yeah,
Garu.
sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are audible, sir.
Yeah. Namaste, sir. Thank you for the wonderful session, sir. I'm Srinivas Pisapati. I'm iFocus B21A member. I run a software company. For the benefit of the audience, just I want to ask a small question. Is You have shown different kind of methodologies, Scrum, Kanban, and Waterfall methodologies, and all those things. Which kind of methodology should be used at which place, which kind of project? How do you identify that? Or is there a way where you mix multiple methodologies also based on the project also? If you can please elaborate on that.
Very excellent question, sir. Very valid question at this point in time. Okay. See, I have given one example where Bank of America core banking system was developed during 1991-92 using COBOL mainframe technologies. Core banking system hasn't changed in 2022 also. The same core banking system is running in mainframes and COBOL as of today. Having said that, people like you and me, when we used to actually listen cricket commentary on radios, Ceylon radios, okay, eventually transformed ourselves to ESPNcricinfo.com or Star Sports. Agreed or not?
Exactly.
But did we forget those days where we used to listen the commentary on radio?
No.
We haven't, right?
Yeah.
So the core banking system, when it is running on mainframes and COBOL, still it has to run. But having said that, if they do not implement niche technologies for other areas like internet banking, digital banking, mercantile banking, retail banking, demat banking, etc., and if they say that I want to use only old COBOL, it doesn't work. What they have done is they have started using the technologies like Java and .NET for that. What they have done, they have built their systems on top of the old COBOL core banking systems. Internet banking they have developed using Java technologies. Now what you have done actually, you have mixed two heterogeneous systems. And you have mixed three heterogeneous systems. You have mixed four heterogeneous systems. Now you have a case where you have to follow a methodology for core banking in Waterfall Model, and you have to follow all the internet banking, retail banking, mercantile banking, demat banking, agile methodology. This is what is called as two-speed IT approach, or which is called as bimodal approach or hybrid approach. And unless and until we follow this model, the project would not execute properly. Okay, so your old model is also important, your new models are so important. That is why you should not undermine any model here actually. But whatever the models that you are going to develop, you need to see that you always follow innovative models as such actually. But you don't scrap your old model at any point in time. As long as the business as usual is running well and the customers are getting satisfied, why do you want to scrap it? Right? Because software doesn't have wear and tear. Let the core banking run as usual. But on top of that, your internet banking, like SBI, actually the biggest banking in India, their core banking system was developed in obsolete technologies, but they are running it. And on top of that, they have developed internet banking with Java technologies. Only the latest banks like ICICI, HDFC, which have come off late actually, they started using their core banking systems also developed in niche technologies. Right?
Yeah.
But I have actually gone throughout the world actually. I have seen many banks, National Australian Bank, Commonwealth Bank, all these banks. And they never actually, the customers never complained about their core banking systems actually. Still it is in COBOL. So to answer to your question crisply, okay, it is very, very important to understand how the system is built with actually, okay. Is there any transformation that could be possible? If the transformation could not be possible, if the new technologies are to be built on for the new areas actually, okay, then you follow a blended methodology.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. It's well put. Thank you so much.
One more question, please. One more question, if you allow, please.
Okay,
Yeah.
sir, please. Yeah, be quick, sir.
Yeah. See, basically, for the nowadays, the entry-level programmers who are coming, they focus more on the programming side rather than on this development, SDLC modeling and all those things. Do they need to learn this SDLC at the time of learning other programming languages, or they can wait till, because they don't have a part in playing the role of a project management and all those things? What do you advise the upcoming programmers who are, many programmers are here? How do you advise them? Do they need to learn this SDLC process, or they need not learn about it?
It is very paramount for them to learn at this point in time, because there is a concept called as Devops. See, when I said that in the olden days, when we used to release a product every 3 months actually, now Netflix started releasing every 10 minutes. Do you think that it is possible only through human intervention? No. People started understanding SDLC in a deeper way, and they started using continuous build, continuous integration, continuous deployment through the tools like Maven, Jenkins, Bamboo, Hudson, Urban Code Deploy kind of tools actually. Those are all part and parcel of your DevOps, which is eventually the part of SDLC lifecycle. Unless you don't know about SDLC lifecycle model, how do you actually go with continuous integration, continuous build, continuous deployments, which is the ask from the customers actually.
Thank
Right,
you.
sir?
Thank you very much, sir. I have saved your number from your, biodata. I'll try to interact with you personally also. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Nice talking to you.
Okay, right. Thank you.
Yeah, I think It's nice. It's a wonderful session, sir. Very well relevant and need to
And
have
one more
session.
question I will take, last question. Maram Srijan has asked one question in chat window.
Right.
Hello, sir. Is AI is going to eat up software jobs, or can AI write itself? See, this is a false perception which is existing among different programmers across the world. Okay. AI, artificial intelligence, cannot dominate the human intelligence, the cognitive intelligence actually. Okay. AI has to be created by humans only. Okay. When you start learning about deep learning, cognitive learning, machine learning, okay, all the data has to be fed by the humans only. Okay. At some point in time, it will start learning in an automative way actually. But there are plenty of jobs that are there in the market actually. Okay. Not even a single job would be taken off actually, and there would be more jobs that would be created actually, because I mentioned that at this point in time 80% of data is still being undwelled, and that 80% of data, if it has to be dwelled out actually. Okay, you need millions and millions of data engineers, millions and millions of programmers as such actually. That is where you don't lose jobs at any point in time. Okay.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you so much for answering the question, sir. We have a hand raised. Himalata Garu, please be quick with your question.
Thank you, Durga Kameshwari. Very good evening, sir. I'm
Good
Hemalata.
evening, Amma.
Thank you so much for your clear, crisp, and detailed explanation of SDLC, sir. We got very much clear idea of what is going on in the software industry at present. We got interest also on new topics. Thank you once again, sir, for a wonderful session. And we are hoping to have such more sessions in the future, sir. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, Amma. I give sessions at various channels, various universities, because I like teaching. Teaching is my passion, apart from doing software development, all that actually. Okay. And, I also teach to, some of the most eminent universities in India actually. Okay. So,
Very nice to
so,
hear, sir.
so you can actually utilize my knowledge to the maximum extent. Okay. Because I don't give any false examples. I always give real-time examples. Okay. Because ultimately, whatever the money you are paying, that should be worth enough actually. Okay. That should be worthable. How are you going to get that worth? You're going to get that worth when you actually hear about the real-time use cases, real-time scenarios that you are going to implement in your real-time projects actually. Okay. So I'm going to detail out all the contemporary things actually, rather than obsolete or unrealistic things actually.
Yes, sir. Sir, can we have, do you write blogs or do you have a YouTube channel so we can hear your lectures?
Yeah, actually, you can search my name in Google, Srinivasarao Kosiganti. You will find a lot of papers which were written by me actually.
Yeah, sure, sir. Thank you so much.
You search my name, Srinivasarao Kosiganti. Okay.
Sure, sir.
My papers are published in Scopus, IEEE. Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir,
And
do
yeah.
you teach children? I mean, sorry, do you teach students or employees in different companies on any particular topic?
Yes. I teach employees. I am also a BITS Pilani professor for work integrated learning program professor actually, for the professionals who are working in software companies. They are very seniors actually. Okay. People working in Wipro, people working in TCS, people working in Tech Mahindra, people working in Infosys, people working in Polaris, people working in Virtusa kind of companies. I teach them actually. Okay.
Yes,
All
sir.
the niche topics, like right from cloud computing to anything actually. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. We are very happy to listen your session, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, actually, to add, I am a student of WIL program.
Durga, you are a student of WILP, right?
Yes, sir.
So I teach, now I'm teaching OOED, Object Oriented Analysis and Design.
Okay. I'm doing my MTech in quality management, sir.
Quality management. Okay. I teach for computer science students, software engineering students.
Great to hear, sir. Great to hear.
I taught for Verizon, I taught for Qualcomm, okay.
Right.
I taught for almost all the companies actually, okay. Work integrated learning programs from BITS.
Okay. Good to know,
You
sir.
search my name. You search my name in Google. Also, you will find actually. Okay.
Sure, sir. Yeah. All right. So, I mean, since sir have already told to contact him, can read his papers or contact Vistar Education Services for further more details. And if anyone is interested to register for the paid sessions, here is the link presented in the chat. Please go register yourself and have more knowledge gained. So thank you so much for attending the session. Yes, here goodbye for the day. Yes. Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful session.
Thank you so much, wonderful people, and wonderful evening actually. Okay. Have a good evening as such. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.